Okay, part 2, yay! Alright, I'm gonna try and make sure that this does not have a part 3. That is just 2 parts, but we'll see. If I really run out of time, I'll make a 3rd video. You guys don't have to watch it, but I want to document it just for my own sake. So anyways, continuing with Vika's words. I mean, I was this woman, she was just beaming, she was just smiling. You know, you can see from the pictures, she was just wearing a sweater, she had her hair up kind of messy, but I mean, she was just beaming with happiness. She told us so many amazing things. There was this time when Our Lady appeared to her and one of the other visionaries and took them, actually, like, took them in this apparition to heaven, purgatory, and hell. I mean, just the things that she was saying, and just, I mean, she's just this little girl that grew up in, like, Bosnia, I think is where Medjugorje is. This little child in Bosnia, and, you know, really, I don't know what the education is like, but the things she was saying just have so much theological importance in them. It's like, I don't know, it's just crazy. Like, to me, it's believable because how else would she have this knowledge? You know, like, she wouldn't have this knowledge unless Our Lady herself told it to her, because they were just children. There's no way they could have had this wisdom or come up with these things that fall so in line with the church, unless it had come from Our Lady herself. So, I mean, just cool things. Of course, there's always skeptics, but I mean, we didn't get to sit in on an apparition. That would have been awesome, but we didn't get to do that. I mean, we did pretty much everything else. We didn't get to do that, but what we did, somebody bought a video and we watched it on the bus, and where someone had recorded one of the apparitions happening, and I mean, the visionaries, they don't even blink. I mean, these apparitions go anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, from what I understand. I'm sure there are some that are longer, but just from the ones I've heard. And they're just staring up at, well, it looks like at nothing, but what it really is Our Lady. And they're not even blinking. I mean, how does that happen? How are you so focused? I mean, how could they be making it up? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. I mean, it has to be real. So that's what I have to say to all you skeptics. Let's see. There are a lot of other things to do. Like I said, there's plenty of places to pray in Medj. One of them was at the statue. They do have a church, St. James, which you've seen in my pictures, and it has the 2 bell towers. It's kind of iconic to Medjugorje. Lots of pilgrims go there for Mass. We actually, Father Brad, our friar here, got to actually, like, be the main celebrant at all the English-speaking Masses, so that was cool. He got to say all the homilies, and that was really nice for us because all the other Masses are in Croatian, so it was good to have Masses that they were so charitable with their church and let us go in there and celebrate Mass in English. So, two other things I want to mention. We climbed Apparition Hill, and it is what it sounds like. It's where Mary appeared to the children. So I think there's 2 spots. One is at the very top of the hill. At the very top of the hill, there's a statue of Mary, where she appeared to the children. And then there's another little rock with a big wooden cross on it, where they said Our Lady had sat and talked with the children. And it's extremely rocky. So rocky. But, I mean, what a blessing it was to be able to walk that thing barefoot. I mean, it was just, oh my gosh, it was beautiful. I mean, oh my gosh, I can't even describe to you the joy that I got from being able to do that. Just keeping you and all your intentions in my head as I was doing it, you know, it's like Our Lady said, you know, penance is very important, praying for sinners is very important. Just doing that mortification, having the opportunity to be able to do that, was really great. And something also cool, they had I want to say, Joyful Mysteries? Oh, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Anyways, they had these big, I don't know what kind of metal they're made out of, but anyways, they look like this. That's the one from Apparition Hill. And they had also the Stations of the Cross, also on Cross Mountain, which I'll tell you about in a sec, that looked like this. And you guys might recognize those. There's only 3 sets of these in the entire world. One is on Apparition Hill, one is on Cross Mountain, and the other one that is identical to the one on Cross Mountain is at the Franciscan University in Steubenville in Ohio. The artist broke the mold after he made them. He made them especially for Medjugorje, and also for us, we were lucky enough to have these stations made by this Italian artist. So that was very cool. I felt like I was very much at home getting to see those. So anyways, Apparition Hill, like I said, that's where Our Lady appeared to the children. It took us maybe 30 minutes. We said a rosary on the way up. For the visionaries who still see Our Lady daily, she comes to them at 20 minutes until 6, so at 5:40 every day. So we got up there right around 5:30, and we got to stay and pray at 5:40. And it was just as the sun was setting, and we were just in front of the statue of Our Lady, and we were all opened our hearts because she was truly present, to one of the visionaries, probably, no more than 2 miles away from us, so getting to have your heart open at that time, at that place, when Our Lady's appearing to somebody, one of the visionaries, it was just a really miraculous thing. Now, something I want to mention to you, and I know even my most faithful of friends are not going to believe me or going to want to refute this with something, but I've heard from other people, not just students, but other people just that have gone to Medjugorje, about this thing called the sun dance. And I was really skeptical when I heard of it. I was like, what the heck is the sun dance? Like, I don't know what, like, you guys are on drugs. And how I've had it explained to me is that the sun was kind of dancing back and forth, the big sphere part in the middle, and that the rays around it were kind of like circulating one way while the sun in the middle was just kind of bouncing back and forth. And I thought, that's so weird, like, that can't be right. So we're almost to the top of Apparition Hill. We just kind of finished our rosary, and my friend Catherine is freaking out, and I was like, geez, like, what is it? Like, is there a snake, or, what's going on? And she's like, it's a sun dance. It's a sun dance. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, look at the sun. Look at the sun. So I'm staring at the sun, and sure enough, the center of it is like kind of like dancing like from side to side, and the rays are like kind of just slowly circulating around it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this cannot be happening right now. And my eyes, like, they didn't hurt at all. Like, I couldn't look away. I mean, I wasn't even blinking. And usually I'm like, the sun, get me sunglasses the second I walk outside. But I was able to, like, stare at the sun at least for, like, 30 seconds straight watching the sun dance. So that's just another little glory story I have for you guys. Now, anyways, what was I going to say? Apparition Hill. Right, so Cross Mountain. Cross Mountain is a little bit bigger. It's actually a lot bigger, and this is where they have the Stations of the Cross that match the ones at Steubenville. So we decided to say the stations on the way up, and it's just as rocky. You'll see from my pictures, it's almost treacherous, but a lot of us took our shoes off, and we started going up the hill, and it's just amazing. You're seeing like 70-year-old women with their canes going up this hill because, like, they're just doing it out of such great charity, and they're doing it out of such great charity, and and just love for Our Lady and for our Lord. And I mean, it was just amazing. You're seeing, I can't even tell you how many tiny little children and old people who normally would not be hiking this hill, but they're doing it out of love, and it was really great to see. It was such a good witness to me. So anyways, a couple of us were kind of discussing our thoughts of Cross Mountain and going up this mountain. I think it took us probably around an hour to get up there. And of course, even longer for those of us who were going barefoot. And we were just talking about, there's like these big rocks, and they're like jagged, and they stick like almost straight up. And how those rocks are like, our sufferings in life. Like when somebody dies, that's, or when we're taken advantage of in a very hurtful way, like, it's something that it hurts us deeply and badly. But of course, we don't have things like that occur in our lives every day. It just happens every once in a while. And, So these big rocks were around every once in a while. And the little rocks, you know, that we were always stepping on. There was always little rocks to step on. How those are just like the little things in life that nag at us, you know, like I don't like that I have to get up for school every morning, or I don't like that I can't eat bread, or, you know, things like that, the little things that are always constantly bothering us in our lives. And then, of course, we were talking about how some students were helping each other. We would see somebody slip, and it was like, let me give you your arm, or you know, as I was watching my other classmates like suffer, I'm like, yeah, I feel you on that one. You know, we're all going up this thing barefoot, so we could all kind of sympathize with each other, like, you know, just kind of this empathy. And then lastly, it was just kind of like, I think we were all praying for each other, you know, as we were doing the stations together, going up this mountain barefoot. So that was kind of one way how we were kind of just like paralleling it to life. A couple of my friends were generous enough to share that meditation with me. So at the top of Cross Mountain, they have a big cross, and it has, like, I don't know how big, but a splinter, I'm willing to bet, of like the true cross that Christ was crucified on. So I mean, this was a big deal. So we were lucky enough. They don't have it like roped off or anything. You can go right up to the cross, and all the pilgrims do. You know, they pray in front of it, and they touch it, and they kiss it. And it was just such a blessing to be able to go up there and do it. And of course, I have my rosaries out, and I'm touching them to this cross just because for every person I give that rosary to, you know, I was praying for them on the way up the mountain, and it was just really beautiful to be able to get to hike that. So anyways, like I said, for the visionaries who see Our Lady daily, she comes at 20 till. So we're kind of running down this mountain because we want to get to the church. We want to be able to pray in the church when Our Lady's going to come to the visionary. So we're walking, and it's like 5 minutes till 6, and we're not even close to the church at all. And we're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And someone's like, should we just, like, pray right here? And I'm like, oh, it's kind of like a jank alley. You know, I don't want to pray right here. I'm like, let's just keep walking. Maybe there's lots of fields, lots of vineyards. And we're like, maybe we can just pray, like, in nature or something. And sure enough, we're walking. We're getting more out of the suburb area and more into the fields. And we see this, like, little roadside shrine to Our Lady. And I was like, oh my gosh, look, there's a statue right there. Let's just go kneel in front of that statue. So it was, you know, me and just a couple of friends, and we knelt down right at 5:40, right as Our Lady was appearing to one of the visionaries. And it was just a really, really good experience. You know, it was just nice to have that time. It was completely quiet. No cars are driving by, which is weird. It had been busy on the streets that day. We got that time to just relax after having just hiked Cross Mountain. And then I make the sign of the cross, and I get up. I'm ready to go. And I turn around, and I see, like, at least 20 other students have followed suit and have kneeled behind my friends, and we're also praying. So it was just a really cool moment to see us all praying together and venerating Our Lady together. It was just really good. So we continued our way to the church, and I was lucky enough before I climbed Cross Mountain, I got to go to confession, and they really stress confession there. I mean, there's been so many conversions that have come out of Medjugorje, so, I mean, they credit that, of course, to the sacrament of confession. So I got to go to confession. There was a long line. My friends were nice enough to, like, let me go first because they didn't know if the priest was going to leave. They have it from 5 to 7, and it was definitely, like, 5 past 7, but I was lucky enough to get to go. And I kid you not, this priest could read souls. I mean, you know when a parent is, like, trying to confront their child on something, but they do it kind of dancing around it, like, well, somebody, like, was trying to get a cookie from the cookie jar earlier, and somebody must have broken the cookie jar, because after that it fell on the floor, you know, kind of like dancing around it, but saying very specific things to where you're like, oh my gosh, that was totally me. I got a cookie, and I accidentally knocked the cookie jar over, and it broke. That's how my confession kind of was. I would say my sins, and he goes, you know, well, of course, we try to have perfect charity, but sometimes we, do this, and we do this, and we do this, and they're all specific things, like, you know, when you go to confession, you kind of start off general, like, oh, well, I struggle with pride, you know, but he was calling me out on very specific things, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, he is reading into my soul right now. But I mean, it was perfect, it was great. I mean, he was very, like, sweet, sweet priest, and he gave me some amazing words of wisdom, and I felt so blessed to be able to do that. And of course, we hiked across mountain the next day, and it was like, just doing that penance, like, allowed me to forgive myself, and it was just great. So I'm gonna end this video here. I am going to make one more video, because I want to tell you about an opportunity. We got to talk to some men recovering from addictions in Medjugorje, and that was really cool. So I do want to make a video on that, but I'm ending this video, so thank you so much for listening. If you have any other questions, feel free to message me, and I can elaborate on some of the stories that I watered down in this video. But I encourage you to go to that website and look up the messages for Medj. And I will see you all very soon. God bless.